A little bit over 2 years ago, I couldn't tell you what an SCBA was. I had no idea about anything about firefighting. I could remember very vividly the first day of academy, seeing my bunkers all in a pile, and I did what any normal person would do. I took my bunker bottoms and I just put them on, and then I tried to wiggle my feet into my boots. And I can remember one of the captains, Jay Cross, politely showing me how to strategically put the boots inside of the bunkers and then get in them. I thought it was brilliant. I could also remember the second day of academy when the truck came down and they put up the stick. So we're talking over 100 feet of ladder, and I had yet to climb 10 feet of ladder in my life. And then they tell me I'm going to the top. And I'm thinking, okay, so of course I do it, but I think if you look closely, you can see the wet stain in my groin area. So I don't have any experience when it comes to firefighting. I'm only 2 years in, so I'm not going to talk to you guys about, fire tactics or how to be an aggressive firefighter. I'm going to leave it to the veterans to do that. But what I can show you is something that I believe has been my most valuable asset and something that I believe the city of Gresham saw in me that set me apart. And that's my mindset. So what is mindset? I believe that mindset is pretty much just your thoughts, your beliefs. It can be your philosophy, the reasons why you do something, what drives you, all equals your mindset. And I think out of your mindset, how you think, your emotions come to life. And I think emotions lead to all the actions that we do or don't take. And I think as firefighters, we can all agree that actions lead to results. So today, I want to challenge you all to examine your results. Look at the results in your life as firefighters on your crew, as lieutenants, chiefs, in your life, in your health. Examine your results. And I think that what you'll find is that my story maybe can change how you look about maybe what it means to be a firefighter and shed some insight into how you can maybe start taking on a different mindset so that you could change your results. I never dreamed about being a firefighter growing up. I didn't dream about being a football player. I actually wanted to be a lawyer. And I was the third out of 4 boys. You see me right there in the middle. And my dad was a Nigerian immigrant. And so he was very much into education. I can remember, my dad taping prescription spelling and math tests that he would write out, and they would be waiting for us hanging on the chandelier when we got home. He was very much into education. I can remember Saturday school, Sunday school, of course, regular school, after-school programs. There was school every day of the week, and he really valued repetition and discipline and hard work, and it showed up in how he lived his life. And so me and all my brothers, we played soccer growing up. We were a big soccer family, and I played soccer as well, but around 6th grade, I was a little chunkier, and I hated running, and I noticed that in practice and in games, actually, in soccer games, I was starting to get a lot more yellow and red cards because I was running kids over. And the parents were starting to scream at me and scream at the refs. And so I decided maybe it was time to take on a different sport, and so I played football. And it was then that I fell in love, man. And I fell in love with football, so much so that when my dad put me in a private school in high school, I begged him, just please let me play football for my neighborhood school, which was Cleveland High School nearby. And so I had to take the bus an hour, across town every day after school to play football, but I loved it. And I excelled in high school. I excelled enough, to earn myself a walk-on spot for the Oregon State Beavers, and I played there for 3 years. I played with guys like Steven Jackson, Brandon Browner, Derek Anderson, Evanson Bernard, and I really enjoyed my time there. But the problem was Coach Mike Riley at the time, he didn't believe I deserved a scholarship, but I knew that I did. And so what I did is I reached out to the coaches at Portland State, and I told them, I want a scholarship to play at your school. And just 2 weeks later, after playing in my last game as a Beaver, getting crushed by the Oregon Ducks in my last Civil War game there, I was back at Portland State with a scholarship, ready to play. And so my first year there didn't quite equal the success that I wanted. But it was my second year there, where my last year, my senior year, that I really took off. And so in that year, I had 11 touchdowns in 8 games. I really excelled on the field, and I really just ran with my opportunity. But much like you guys know, life doesn't, no one's really exempt from the curveballs that life throws. And so I was no different. And so a lot of people, when things get tough for them, when, they see challenges, they give up. It's almost like a challenge comes up and it's a signal for them to relent and then make excuses about why they couldn't get something. But at that point in my life, I realized that I was different and that I had a different mindset and that I was willing to do things that other people just simply weren't willing to do. And so that mindset that I had was, I'm not you. And so let me explain what that means. That might sound a little arrogant at first sound, and I definitely get it. But I want you guys to think about it. Isn't that why all of you are here today? Isn't that what got you here? I mean, I hear it takes on average 7 years to become a firefighter. And so what I'm not you means is that I'm willing to do things that you're not willing to do. I'm an outlier. I'm not the same as you. So most people, when they see challenges, they give up and they quit. But I'm not you says I'm different. I'm willing to do different things. And so at the end of that season for me at Portland State, I broke my wrist, 8 games into the season. And at that point, I had a lot of scouts visiting me, and things were looking good for me in terms of going to the NFL. And I busted my wrist up. So I'm thinking, how am I going to make it to the NFL now? And I really had the opportunity there to examine myself and say, what was I going to do? And so I actually had a coach, one of my coaches who I trusted. He sat me down in his office and told me that I probably shouldn't even try to make it to the NFL, that, it's best I just try to take care of my family and just get a regular job. And I sort of smiled and I nodded, and in my head I thought, I'm not you. Because if I was, I would have gave up. I would have gave up and I would have quit on that dream, just like I saw a lot of my friends do, and that would have been really easy to do. I definitely wouldn't have trained 6 days out of the week preparing for my pro day. I had a cast on, so I couldn't really do much in terms of upper body, so I squatted about 5 days out of the week and just worked on my speed. I wouldn't have done any of that. And so when I finally got a chance, my dream finally had life when I got picked up for the New Orleans Saints in the 2008 season, and I was a rookie free agent. See, but being a rookie free agent it's almost like being a volunteer firefighter. It's definitely nice, but it's not the same as, everybody wants to get. It's not the same as being on the game day roster. You want to get paid. And so it wasn't until this moment that I'll show you guys here on video that my dream fully had life.
He's that same guy in the back.
We see you, Nini. Get yours.
Number 33.
Oh, look at Nini. Nini! Nini! Let's go! I got that on cam. Let's go, boys! Let's go, fam! I got that whole thing on cam. Yo, this is a vlog right here. Nini, look. Watch out, y'all. Watch out. No. Touch, please don't.
Come on, play the replay, man. Hey, same play. Here we go.
Wow. Woo! Let's go, baby.
This dude is out here eating.
Let's go.
This dude is out here eating.
Kyle, you see your uncle over there doing this thing. Come on, baby. Hey, I got that whole thing on cam, though.
So this is my son at my first game. Those are my brothers watching the game at their house. And this was what I envisioned, man. I envisioned my brothers watching me on TV. I envisioned my son there, at my first game. And that's my son when he was about 4. He's here right now. He's 10 years old right now. But this was all, and my vision was made real. And I never was the fastest. I never was the strongest. I never was the most athletic, but I always had a different mindset. And that mindset is what got me to that place that I ultimately got. That's my brother there at my game against the Oakland Raiders. And so I want you guys to think about, what your mindset is and what it is that you really want. You see what I'm saying? And realize that all those things that we use as excuses and things that hold us back in our lives and as firefighters and in our personal lives, we can change those. And so 2 years after, or 2 years into the league, I got injured. My first year I busted up one shoulder. The next year it was another shoulder. And so my career was cut short. And afterwards, I spent 3 years sort of wandering around trying to figure out what to do next. I was really indecisive and sort of didn't have a vision. And I believe that the reason why people are frustrated and unhappy a lot is because they simply don't have a vision. They don't have a proper mindset about, what is possible in their situation. This was the scene from, this is where I ate lunch at work every day. And so I want you guys to think about what you really want. What is your vision for, your life, for your health, for your relationships? How do you see yourself in 5 years as a firefighter, in 10 years as a chief? What is the vision that you have for your department? And then challenge yourself on what is actually possible for you to achieve. Tony Robbins, who is somebody who's had a lot of influence on me and that I suggest every one of you look into, he's a really powerful coach and leader. He defines a leader in these 3 ways. He says that first, leaders see things as they are. They see reality, so they don't ignore reality. And second, they see it how they want it. So they don't stop at number 1. They see it how they want it. They create a vision, and they use their creativity to create that vision. And finally, third, which I believe is the most important, they make it happen. They make their reality, or they make their vision how they want it. And that's all about execution. The problem is a lot of us stop at number 1. And we don't just stop at number 1. We actually make things worse than what they are. And so I have a captain, Captain Danny, and I always like this analogy. He said, refrigerator repairman, they show up to fix a fridge, and they don't get all nervous and flustered. Just like we as firefighters, we shouldn't show up because refrigerator repairmen, they fix fridges. And so we as firefighters, we shouldn't show up nervous at a fire because that's what we do. We put out fire. And I've always liked this analogy, and I've always respected this approach. And I believe that it's how this same mindset that Captain Danny had, I believe that's how we should approach any situation. We should see it as a situation that needs fixing. But a lot of us, like I said, have started to see a problem and then exaggerate it and make it bigger than what it is, and that prevents us from taking action. And so hopefully hopefully today I can be for you guys what other people have been for me in terms of just showing you a different possibility and maybe challenging you a bit. So what happens when these challenges come up? And these could be challenges in our relationships. These could be challenges at work with our lieutenants, with our chiefs. These could be challenges in our departments, is we make excuses for why it is that we don't have what we want. So the reality shows up, and then we start to make excuses. And so some of the excuses that we like to make as firefighters is that we don't have enough time to work out. We run too many calls. The city doesn't support us. We start thinking of all the reasons why we can't have the career or the lifestyle that we want. We don't have enough time to do this, and we don't have this, and all of these excuses. And what happens is these excuses get us to take certain action. So because of our mindset, we take action that doesn't align with what we want. And part of the reason we don't even know what we want. But because of the excuses, let's examine what we do as a result of these excuses. So we watch TV, instead of working out. We don't connect with our family members and our spouses and our kids. We eat terrible food for us that we know is not healthy for us. And we do all of this while we have the opportunity to make a change, but we don't do it because we hold on to these excuses. And let's examine what these excuses mean for us as firefighters in the real world. These excuses that we have equal divorce. Firefighters suffer from an alarming rate of divorce. Cancer, we suffer from higher rates of cancer. Heart attacks, on-duty deaths that are unnecessary. I personally call BS on that, and I'm only 2 years in, but I refuse to believe that we have to be victim to all of these things that a lot of it is in our control. It's true, a lot of the things are outside of our control, but there's so much that we can. And so I really want you guys to think about what it is that what is success for you. Think about what your vision is. And I know that you guys don't want to accept any of these realities as your reality. So just like Tony Robbins said, we could see reality. We know that these things plague a lot of us as firefighters, but now we have to make a vision for it. And so that's what I want to challenge you guys to do, is to create a vision for your life. As a firefighter, as a chief, what is it that you see long term? No more complaining about what you don't want. Create a vision for what you do want, and then systematically, reach that and take action towards that. I want to challenge you guys for just 10 shifts, right? 10 shifts. See if you can do this for 10 shifts. And if you guys work, Monday through Friday, just 10 days in a row, see if you can do this. The first is I want you to work out every shift. No more complaining about not having time. We all work 24-hour shifts. Every single one of you guys probably has at the very least a treadmill. And even if you don't, there's a bunch of things that you can do in 20 minutes. If you already work out every shift, then bring somebody with you or up the intensity of your workout. There's no reason why we as firefighters, the heroes of everyone, every citizen should be out of shape and can't walk up a flight of stairs. We need to work out. The second thing is stop eating sweets and ice cream. So no more sweets and ice cream. And I know it's going to be tough for you guys, but see if you can just do it for 10 shifts, man. Like, just think about accumulating over the years what that's doing to your body. And then it's funny, we always complain about having too many calls and, not having a lot of energy, but we don't ever examine what we eat. Like, you don't have to be a rocket science to know that, eating ice cream every third day is not going to equal good health and not good energy. The next thing is say something nice about somebody when they're not around. No more gossiping. So we should be building our brothers up, not tearing them down. And so I know it's part of, it's part of firefighter culture to sort of sit around and talk about things, but let's talk about positive things. Let's talk about what people are doing well. Let's talk about ideas. Successful people talk about ideas. Unsuccessful people talk about other people and things that they don't like. So let's start building people up when they're not around. The next thing is train on your own. Like people talk a lot about, the city not giving us enough time to train or not doing this and that. Go outside and train on your own. Throw some ladders against your building. Go look at a building. Watch some videos. Sit around and talk about different scenarios that you've been through, as firefighters. These are things that you don't need permission from a chief to do. You don't need permission from your city to do that. And you'd be surprised at the amount of things that you can get done with just a little bit of creativity. Call your kids and your spouse on shift. I know a lot of people do this, but see if we can take it to the next level. Like now in technology, we got FaceTime, we got all of that. Make it a habit of yours to do it every shift and connect with them. Not just call them, but really connect with them. Next is read a book. I know TV is a big part of the fire department, culture and all of that, but pick up a book. You know what I'm saying? Successful people read books, and if you want to be successful, if you want to be a leader in your department, then read a little bit, expand your mind. There's nothing really good that can come from watching hours of TV, and not growing your mind. So pick up a book and read it. And then lastly, smile and say thank you every time you hear the tap out go off. I know it's hard when we wake up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock a.m., we already been up twice. You interrupted sleep. And you got to lift assist, and the old lady, can't help herself out of bed. But smile and say thank you because this is what you signed up for. You know what I'm saying? This is what the people pay you money for. And so it's an opportunity and a gift for us to be able to give back and be able to be at somebody's service when they call 911. It may not be an emergency to us, but whoever picked up their phone and called 911, they expected us to show up. You know what I'm saying? And it's an opportunity and a gift for us to be able to do that. And so I want you guys to look at this picture. So when I decided to become a firefighter, my mentor, he told me that I needed to create a vision first in my head. And I believed him because this is how I got to the NFL. And so I took that to heart. And so I did one of the strategies that he taught me. I literally picked out a picture online of a firefighter. I had a hard time finding ones with my skin color. So I found one who matched the buffness that I liked, and and I pasted my head on it. And I looked at this picture. I told my wife and I told my kids I was going to be hired in 6 months. This was when I had no idea about anything that it took. And my naivete actually probably helped me work to my advantage because I definitely had a lot of people reminding me of reality. And this is when they would tell me it'd take like 7 years to become one and all of this stuff. But I didn't listen. In my head, I was thinking, I'm not you. I'm going to get hired. You know what I'm saying? And so you can imagine how excited I was just 8 months later after taking this picture to finally take this picture right here. And so I know that, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience, and so everybody in here, you guys have gotten to where you are because you've had the same mentality. We share that mentality, the I'm not you mentality, because all of you here are firefighters. All of you here are chiefs and lieutenants from all around, from prestigious departments. So just a couple days ago, I came home. It was after a rough shift at a station where you ever been to a station that you kind of expected to sleep a little bit and then you didn't? So I was at one of those stations and I came home and I was tired. I came home and I usually don't go to sleep right when I get home, man, but I sat on my bed and I fell out for a couple hours. Luckily, my mom was at home watching the kids while my wife is at work. And I got up, man, and I was just kind of out of it. I was kind of stressed about this speech, and my daughter, she was saying things like, "Oh, Daddy, I haven't seen you in so long," and I was starting to feel guilty. And then I felt myself starting to make those excuses and starting to say things like, "Man, I don't got enough time. Like, man, I was hella tired, and I'm doing this different diet thing, and I'm like tired. I'm freaking hungry. I'm looking through the fridge, just trying to find something sweet to eat, and I feel myself starting to make all those excuses. So I'm not exempt, man. Nobody here is exempt. We all understand that it's tough, but I want to challenge you guys to look at your situation as it really is and don't accept how it is. If you want to be a leader, if you want people to follow you, if you really want to spark a trail, you got to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do and to stand for something that you believe in. And even if that's something as simple as being in good shape, even if that's something as simple as, a certain type of training that you feel strongly about, find what it is that you're passionate about and really stand for it. And I believe that we as firefighters can create a whole nother type of culture in our departments, in our cities, in our communities, and in the world. Thank you.